What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Beginner's Guide. This is a new playthrough that I'm going to be doing. A friend of mine recommended me the game, and he said it's like nothing you've ever played before. And I said, well, then, guess I'm going to have to play it. Okay? So, let's begin the game.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Interesting. So we're going to go through his work here. I found that one pretty interesting, actually, just walking around and seeing it mid construction. Oh, hello. Mean business now.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Dead end.
You can click to fire the gun.
Oh, okay.
Security call reached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kind of looks
Life
like
forms
this
inbound.
game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
That's true.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Oh wow, look at that. It's true. I think when we look at certain games, we tend to compare a lot. He does make a point there. Let's talk about the games for what they are, and not compare them to someone else's creation.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it. Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Yeah, you know what? I will sacrifice my body to save all the lives on this space station. I will go and walk into the beam.
Let me pause here for a second.
Oh, fuck.
What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay, so now I'm going to save the space station, yet this time there is a bug present. I'm going in. Whoa.
The beam causes you to start
Okay.
floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Certainly more impactful than just dying. Okay, I can't move.
Yep, in this game you can only
go
walk
backwards.
backwards.
And that's it. No strafing, no walking forward. Okay, well, okay, we can do this. The past was behind her. Where? How do you know what's behind you if you're always walking backwards? All right.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist
Hey.
experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but
Awesome.
actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
There's a door up here. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength?
It's a short little
To
thought,
confront
it
it,
says what it
doors.
wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Okay. In the woods. In a park. I'm on a path at night. Now entering. It's a path. I can't go off the
And
path.
that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be
Awesome.
patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
You've got me so far. I'm on
Oftentimes,
the ride.
Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of
Good.
his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it.
This image
Once he
is
stopped
amazing.
work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
This image, this size of the staircase here is so intimidating, but it's so engaging. I have to go up I have to go up the staircase. That's the power of games can really move you in a certain direction by only giving you one way to go and making that one way so compelling. And it's only a huge set of stairs. Let's just for a joke, let's look around this shape
I know
here.
it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
Thank you for confirming my actions here. So on the next episode of Mighty Game Bros, we're gonna head up this set of stairs and see where it takes us. Thanks for watching.